why do you think so many people are trying to, silence you from having people hear what you have to say? There's got to be a reason for somebody to say, listen, this guy's doing more harm than good. What do you say to those people?
So and it partially relates to mass formation, this theory of Matthias Desmet, not my theory. And it partially relates, it goes back to a very active campaign to promote two people for the Nobel Prize. If you track back to the origin of a lot of these attacks, it goes back to the very concerted effort that was mounted by BioNTech, Pfizer, and by UPenn to promote Carrico and Weissman for the Nobel Prize. And they got most of the major prizes. They got the Lasker Award, which, by the way, is managed by an investment fund. But they didn't get the Nobel. And it was fascinating watching this play out. It was a standard concerted campaign. And there is a school of thought that if one wishes to win the Nobel Prize, you have to use mass media in order to influence the committee. And so I saw this playing out, particularly my wife did, which is what kind of sparked all of this off, is I was being written out of history in Wikipedia and in every other platform. And it's basically a stolen valor situation. People were taking credit for what I did in the late 1980s. I've never denied what they did. I've never attacked what they did. It's a scientific effort that they accomplished.
Why though? Why would they do that? Because, Kai, can you do me a favor? Can you pull up the article I gave you from, I gave you an article in regards to who came out with mRNA. If you can pull that article up. It's not that one. It's one of the most recent ones I just sent you.
This is you're talking about the Nature one?
That one right there. Okay, so this article came out because the biggest thing is when I go online and I see where people give you a lot of criticism is he has on his LinkedIn profile that he's the inventor of mRNA, right? That's what they say. So let me kind of put this on there and see what you're going to be saying. So I go online and there's this doctor called Dr. Eric Topol, if I'm pronouncing his last name correctly or not, and he's followed by some credible people. It's not like he's not followed by credible people.
He is part of the mainstream narrative, has been for a long time.
Fair enough. He said, on a related matter, Dr. Malone, who asserts he is the inventor of mRNA vaccine and actively cultivates vaccine skepticism, is not and has admitted that fact. And then he puts the links below and talking about two other people. And then he brings up this picture of you in his tweet. But if you read this article, go all the way to the top. In the article it says, go all the way to the top, how scientists Drew Weissman, MED87, GRS87, and Catalin Carrico developed the revolutionary mRNA technology inside COVID vaccine. While I'm reading through this article, there's not a single mention of your name in here. And then in the comments section, some people say, why, if you can do Control F, type in Malone, do Control F and type in Malone. The only place you see this is in the bottom by John Carter, whoever commented this on January 3rd, 2022, which is 3 days ago. This article is complete rewrite of history. No mention of Dr. Malone, who claims to have discovered in vitro and in vivo RNA transfection at the Salk Institute in 1987, and that he later invented mRNA vaccines in 1988. This predates anything cited here. So your claim is, I'm the inventor of this. They say you are not. They don't mention any of the names. Why are they saying that, and why are you saying that you're the inventor?
So the reason that I'm saying it is because I have 9 issued patents that have my name on it that were filed in 1988. Okay. And
this is public information.
It's widely available and never cited. So, for instance, the Nature article of the Tangled History of mRNA Vaccines, which I provided that author with extensive access to deep information, including the primary invention disclosure, which I validated by allowing him to speak, enabling him to speak to the scientist Mark Kindy that cross-signed it. I think it was 1987 or 1988.
You said enabling him. Who is him?
I'm speaking of the author of the article in the Tangled History of mRNA that was published in Nature. That none of these articles have cited the patents that have been part of this mainstream press narrative all the way through, including, so this traces back to the, let me roll back a little bit more. Drew Weissman is a Tony Fauci postdoc.
Okay.
Katie Carrico is literally a former Hungarian spy.
Can you type that? Can you type that up there? Just type in her name.
Yeah,
and type in Hungarian spy, because I want us to just go back to the article prior to that. Go all the way to the top.
Yeah, it's in the European press.
My goal is by the end of the call, by the end of the interview, just type in her, copy paste her name.
Yeah, but I recommend you
right there.
don't use Google.
And then go do copy paste. What would you like us to use?
DuckDuckGo.
Okay, go to DuckDuckGo and type in her name and Hungarian spy. Hungarian spy. So just so you know, nothing pops up so far. Okay. A typical Hungarian story, one was on the spectrum, COVID-19 vaccine, Pfizer.
There we go. Click, second click, Euronews.
Second one. There you go.
That's third one.
I was innocent.
This is
Soviet-era ghost returns to haunt COVID-19 vaccine scientists. Kirillova has just got her job as Hungary in 1978. The secret police knocked on her door. Kirko was given a choice: agree to cooperate with the communist state security apparatus or accept that her career in scientific research was over before it had begun. I knew how the system worked. I was afraid, so I signed the recruitment document she signed. She said,
so this is her response.
Okay.
There's multiple other publications that go back, and I was contacted by people from Hungary early on in this and said, look, this is what we know about her.
Who has verified that she was a Hungarian spy? That's a credible source.
Multiple articles.
Do you know any one of them that you can, like?
No, you can easily search and find it.
Okay, so fair enough, but go ahead. You're saying so she's a Hungarian spy.
So these two have an interesting history background.
Okay.
Katie, I learned about Katie. She contacted me. It was almost a decade after I had done the original work. I was working at UC Davis as an assistant professor.
Okay.
And you can find this, the footprints of this interaction in her first mRNA-related paper, in which she not only cites my work as one of the standard academic citations, but she lists in the acknowledgments appreciation for my interaction with her. She called me. I put her in touch with junior people in my laboratory group, another assistant professor. I put her in touch with a professor at UC Riverside who had done key work in mRNA 5' and 3' and translated region interactions, and did anything I could to help her, invited her to a conference in Annapolis that I had set up, that I was organizing, and actively tried to help her move forward with her work. This is all literally just about a decade after I did my work. So she is very aware of what I had done. I helped her early on. And then when she and Drew Weissman wrote their initial review paper where they talked about mRNA and mRNA vaccines, which is what this whole thread builds off of, they grossly minimized my contributions.
Why would they do that, and how could they do that?
This is the way science is. Science is a wicked competitive business, and it's easy to do. You undercite, or you miscite, or you fail to cite.
So let me ask you this. For me, my experience have been, for whatever reason, doctors are extremely arrogant and very cocky, almost like a god. What's the word I'm looking for?
The hubris might be a word.
Hubris might be the word, but more like the feeling of, I'm God, I know what I'm talking about, I'm the expert.
It's insanely competitive. It's all about money and power.
But here's the point, though. When I do a lot of the research, when people come, I'm not in your world, so all I'm doing is I'm just speculating stuff, and I'm trying to get a little bit closer to the truth by asking people on both sides. So, most people will say nobody ever invented a vaccine. It's co-inventor. You did it with a group. There was a group of people that helped you do it. That is the
criticism. So let me give you some feedback.
Sure.
Here's a metaphor.
Okay.
Just because a group of engineers designed the 737 MAX, it doesn't mean that the Wright brothers didn't invent power flight. The core technology and the applications are disclosed in 9 issued U.S. patents and multiple foreign patents that were filed in, I think it was March 1988, and another patent that was filed by the Salk Institute but dropped, and it was filed on exactly the same day. So this whole issue, this is why and it's, frankly, it's my wife that is really royally pissed off about all of this, about this stolen valor, is because she lived through it. It was an incredibly stressful period in our time.
I don't understand how that's possible, though, Doc, because, Steve Jobs can talk about he invented the technology. Everybody in the world knows it's Wozniak. Nobody can take that credit away from Wozniak. That was in 1977, 76.
So there has been a concerted campaign to write me out of history all the way through.
Why, though?
Because of the Nobel.
So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.